She is 40 years old, 12 years into building a reputation so clean it could cut glass. She has never been late to a hearing. She has never lost her composure on the bench. She has never, not once, done something she could not explain in the morning, until Las Vegas. She does not remember the chapel. She does not remember the vows. She does not remember the man standing beside her under the neon glow of a sign that read, Chapel of Eternal Love, open 24 hours, no appointment necessary. What she does remember is waking up alone, slipping out before the sun came up, and deciding that whatever had happened inside that hotel room would stay exactly where it belonged, buried inside the city that made its entire reputation on forgetting. The problem is that the state of Nevada does not forget. The state of Nevada files paperwork, and 5 weeks later, Voss Carmichael, judge, woman of principle, candidate for a federal appointment that would define the rest of her career, opens an envelope addressed in standard courier font and finds a marriage certificate with her name on it. The groom's name is Ri-sung Pyo. She has to Google him. 4,200 results come back in Korean. The 4,201st is a Forbes cover. If you want to know what happens when a judge accidentally marries a Korean billionaire and neither of them can simply walk away, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell, and leave a comment telling me, who do you think falls first? The envelope arrives on a Thursday. Thursdays are Voss Carmichael's lightest day on the docket. She has 2 motions in the morning, a lunch she always eats alone at her desk, and the rest of the afternoon for the kind of paperwork that requires reading the same paragraph 3 times before it stops blurring. It is, by her own design, the closest thing she has to a quiet day. She guards it the way some people guard weekends. The mail arrives at 11:45. Her clerk, a second-year named Dominic who has learned to slide envelopes onto her desk with the same care one might use diffusing something, sets the stack down without comment and retreats before she looks up. She gets through the stack in order. A notice from the Ninth Circuit, a professional journal she keeps meaning to cancel, a holiday card from a retired judge she respects, and then, near the bottom, an envelope with no return address and a Nevada postmark dated 3 weeks prior. Apparently delayed, apparently real, apparently addressed specifically to her home address, not the courthouse. She opens it the way she opens everything, cleanly, without tearing the fold, setting the envelope aside for recycling. The certificate is cream-colored and printed on cardstock. It has a gold seal embossed on the lower left corner. It has 2 signatures at the bottom, one of which is unmistakably hers. Loopy, rushed, tilted to the right, the way her signature gets after her 3rd drink. She reads it once, then she reads it again. Then she puts it face down on her desk, folds her hands on top of it, and looks out the window at the Los Angeles skyline for exactly 60 seconds. She counts them. Ri-sung Pyo. The name means nothing to her, not even a flicker. She has no memory of a face, no memory of a conversation, no memory of anything that could explain the certificate currently pressing against her palms. What she has is a gap, approximately 6 hours of a Friday night in Las Vegas, that exist in her mind as nothing but warm darkness and the distant sound of a slot machine. She picks up her phone and types the name. The results load slowly because her courthouse Wi-Fi is always slow on Thursdays, and she has never bothered to figure out why. When they come, she scrolls through them without expression. Business press, mergers, a profile in the Seoul Economic Review, a photo at a gala in Tokyo. And then, near the bottom of the first page, a Forbes article from 2 years ago with a photograph. She stares at the photograph for a very long time. Nothing comes back. Not the voice. Not the laugh. Not the moment. The man in the photograph is Korean, composed, the kind of presence that commands a room in ways that have nothing to do with volume. And she feels absolutely nothing. No recognition. No horror. No embarrassing thrill. Just the unsettling blankness of a woman looking at her husband for what might technically be the first time. She calls the clerk's office at Clark County, Nevada. She is on hold for 22 minutes. When someone finally answers, she gives her name calmly, confirms the filing date, and asks, in the most neutral voice she owns, whether there is any standard process for expedited annulment in cases of, she chooses the word carefully, mutual incapacity. The clerk is young and not particularly interested in the weight of the question. He walks her through the procedure without ceremony. Nevada annulments require both parties to appear in person or be represented. The average processing time is 3 to 6 weeks, and she will need to contact the other party before filing. She thanks him. She hangs up. She turns the certificate back over and writes the name again in the margin of her notepad, this time with a question mark after it. Ri-sung Pyo. She needs to find this man before anyone else finds out. She finds him in 4 days, which is faster than she expected, and still 4 days too long. He has an office in Seoul. He has a satellite office in New York. And, according to a press release she finds buried in the financial section of the Los Angeles Times, he has been in Los Angeles for the past 2 weeks, conducting due diligence on an acquisition in the Wilshire corridor. He is, effectively, in her city. She writes his assistant a letter, an actual letter, printed on personal stationery, because email creates records and a letter can be burned. She keeps it brief and without context. She is an attorney with a time-sensitive legal matter requiring a private meeting. She is available at his convenience, and she would prefer a location that is neither a courthouse nor a hotel lobby. The response comes 48 hours later from a number she does not recognize. A text message, 3 words and a time. Tuesday, noon. Café Marin. She knows Café Marin. Small, overpriced, the kind of place where people go specifically because it is too quiet for anyone to hear what you are saying. She arrives 12 minutes early, which is her habit, and sits with her back to the wall and her face toward the door, which is also her habit. She orders sparkling water. She does not look at the menu. At noon exactly, the door opens. She recognizes him before her brain finishes processing the information. It is not memory. Memory would be something warm and specific, a detail, a word, an impression. This is something closer to the body remembering what the mind has deleted. A deep, animal awareness of someone it has been near before. Her posture changes before she decides to let it. She feels it in her shoulders first, then somewhere lower, and she hates herself for both. He sees her, and he stops. Just for a beat, half a step, a fractional pause that she suspects only she notices. And then he continues toward her table with the unhurried confidence of a man who has walked into rooms more complicated than this one and come out fine on the other side. He sits down across from her without being invited to. You sent a letter. His English is precise and accented, the kind that comes from education rather than environment. He holds her gaze while he settles into the chair, and there is nothing apologetic in the way he does it. I did. She puts her hands flat on the table. I'm going to assume you already know why. A pause. Not uncomfortable. He seems incapable of discomfort, which is itself uncomfortable. Then, quietly, I found out before you did. My team does routine background checks. How routine? Routine enough that I knew your name before the envelope arrived. She absorbs that, files it. Then you understand that this needs to be resolved quickly. I'm in the process of, she pauses, deciding how much to give him. A significant professional transition. A public annulment would be complicated. I understand. He lets the silence extend after it, long enough that she has to stop herself from filling it. So you'll agree to... I need you to hear something first. Quietly, without apology. Before you finish that sentence. He tells her about his grandfather. Not all of it. Not the parts that feel personal, the hospital visits, the arguments that left whole weeks silent between them, the complicated mixture of obligation and love that defines every relationship Ri-sung Pyo has ever had with the man who raised him after his parents were gone. He tells her only the structural facts, because structural facts are what this situation requires. Park Dae-soo, 81 years old, founder of Pyo Group, a conglomerate built from a single textile factory in Busan in 1968, now spanning logistics, pharmaceuticals, and 3 of the largest commercial real estate portfolios in East Asia. A man who has spent 6 decades making decisions that shaped other people's lives and who has, in the last year, narrowed his attention to a single remaining decision. Who will run what he built after he is gone? The condition is one his grandfather set 2 years ago, in writing, through the family's legal counsel. Ri-sung must be married before his 38th birthday, which falls on March 14th of the coming year, now 8 months away, or control of the group passes to his cousin, Pyo Ji-won, a man whose primary qualification is proximity and whose judgment Ri-sung trusts the way one trusts a car with a slow leak. Fine for short distances, catastrophic over time. He is 37 years old. He has been in no real relationship in 4 years, and he is, legally, already married. Voss listens to all of this with the attention she brings to opening arguments, still, absorptive, giving nothing away. When he finishes, she picks up her glass and takes a long, slow sip of water that is really just a tool for organizing her thoughts. You want to use the marriage. It is not a question. I want to propose an arrangement. He keeps his voice level. 6 months. We maintain the marriage publicly. Controlled appearances, nothing invasive. At the end of 6 months, we file for divorce on mutual terms. Quietly. My grandfather's condition is satisfied by then regardless of the outcome, because his lawyers specified marriage, not duration. You've already had your lawyers review this. I've had my lawyers review everything. She sets the glass down. What's in it for me to wait 6 months instead of filing annulment papers this week? He names a number. She does not react to the number, which costs her something. I don't need money. Partially true, not the point. You need something that money can build. No inflection, no pressure, just observation. A federal appointment requires committee approval. Committee approval requires clean optics. A surprise annulment from a Las Vegas chapel 2 weeks before your hearing is not clean optics. But a marriage, even an unusual one, can be managed as a narrative. A quiet, private marriage that the public knows nothing about until after the appointment goes through. She stares at him. You've done more research than I expected. The admission is reluctant. I do thorough research. And something in the way he leaves it there, quiet, complete, no elaboration, lands differently than it should. She files that away too. She says no. She means it when she says it. She stands up, buttons her coat, and tells him she will be in touch through counsel, and she walks out of Café Marin with her heels hitting the floor at exactly the pace of a woman who has made a decision. She reverses that decision at 2 a.m, sitting at her kitchen table with her laptop open to the committee's public schedule and the annulment timeline the Nevada clerk had emailed that afternoon. The math is not kind. The federal appointment hearing is in 11 weeks. The annulment, if uncontested, would finalize in 9, but only if uncontested, and she has no guarantee of that. And if it surfaces publicly before it finalizes, which it could, because Nevada records are public and journalists with more time than assignments go digging in exactly those places. The story becomes, federal judicial candidate married a Korean billionaire in Las Vegas chapel and filed for annulment before the ink dried. She closes the laptop. She makes coffee she does not drink. She picks up her phone and types, I have conditions. His response comes in under 2 minutes, which means he was awake, which means he expected this. That should annoy her more than it does. The contract she drafts is 5 pages long. She writes it herself, at her kitchen table, over 2 nights, because involving another attorney creates a paper trail and she has spent 12 years being careful about paper trails. The terms are specific. They will maintain a shared residence, his arrangement, his address, his cost. But she retains a private room with a lock. No physical contact beyond what is necessary for public appearances, defined as a hand at the small of the back, a held hand, Nothing else without prior agreement. No personal questions after 11 at night. No unannounced visitors. No discussion of the arrangement with anyone except designated counsel on both sides. At 6 months exactly, they filed jointly. Clean, final. She emails it to him on a Wednesday morning with the subject line, draft, review, and revise. He returns it that afternoon with 2 edits. He has removed a clause that would have penalized either party for all's emotional attachment, writing in the margin in clean, small handwriting. This clause creates more problems than it prevents, and he has added a line at the bottom of page 5, under general provisions, that reads simply, "Neither party is required to perform happiness. Presence is sufficient." She reads that line 3 times. She keeps it. The apartment is in Brentwood, on the 14th floor of a building that prioritizes discretion, the way other buildings prioritize amenities. The lobby has no visible security. The elevator requires a fob. The floor-to-ceiling windows face west, and in the evenings the light comes in at an angle that turns everything gold, whether it deserves to be or not. Voss moves in on a Saturday with 2 suitcases and a box of case files. Ri-sung is not there when she arrives. He has left a key on the counter and a note that reads, "Guest room is second left. I keep the kitchen stocked. Help yourself." And then, below that, in what looks like an afterthought, "Welcome." She puts the note in her suitcase pocket. She does not know why she does this. He comes home at 7:30. She hears the door and the quiet sound of him moving through the apartment, and the specific silence of someone who has learned to take up exactly the space they occupy and no more. She is at the kitchen table with a brief spread across 3 chairs when he comes in, and she watches him not look at the brief with an effort so polite it is almost funny. "I'll move." She starts to gather pages. "You don't have to." He goes to the refrigerator and takes out ingredients with the economy of someone who cooks seriously but without performance. "I'm not using the table." She stays. He cooks. The apartment fills with the smell of something savory and slow, and for 20 minutes neither of them speaks and neither of them seems to find this unbearable, which surprises her. He sets a bowl down at the far end of the table, well outside the brief zone, without asking if she's hungry. She looks at it. "Doenjang jjigae." He is already moving back to the counter. "Fermented soybean. If you hate it, there's bread." She tries it. It is warm and deeply flavored, and the opposite of every meal she has eaten at her desk in the past 3 weeks. She finishes it and does not say anything about this, but she also does not get up to find the bread. The first 3 weeks of the arrangement proceed with a cleanliness that Voss finds almost suspicious. He is easy to live with in ways she had not anticipated. He does not leave things where she might trip on them. He asks before he plays music. He texts before he comes home late, which she realizes only gradually is a courtesy, not a contract requirement. There is nothing in the 5 pages requiring it. He remembers, without being told twice, that she does not want to be spoken to before her first cup of coffee, and he adjusts to this with 0 visible resentment. She is harder to live with, and she knows it. She organizes the kitchen in a way that makes no sense to him and explains the logic only once. She works through 2 consecutive weekends and apologizes for neither. She keeps her room door closed, not because she needs the barrier, but because she is not yet sure what she would do without it. The appearances are manageable. A dinner with 2 of his business associates. She is introduced as his wife, and the word lands on her skin like something warm and slightly foreign. A weekend event for a charity his grandfather supports, where she wears a dress she bought specifically and stands next to him in exactly the way the contract specifies, close enough to be read as genuine, far enough to breathe. He is good at this. Too good, maybe. But she keeps that thought at the edge of things where it cannot grow. It is in the 4th week that the rules begin to feel like work, not the contract rules. The rules she has imposed on herself, the ones that live nowhere in writing and are therefore harder to enforce. No personal questions after 11. She started breaking that one at 10:45 on a Tuesday, when he mentioned, offhandedly, that his parents died when he was 9, and she looked up from her brief and asked how, and he told her, and neither of them pretended that was a casual exchange. No breakfast together. She broke that one by accident when she overslept and found him already at the table with 2 cups of coffee and the Korean news on his phone, and nowhere obvious for her to retreat without making a point of it. She sat down. He moved his phone. They did not talk much, but the silence was different from the working silence she had learned to use as armor. It was easier. No finding things funny at the same time. That one she has not technically broken, but she is running out of reasons to look away from him when it happens, and it happens more than the contract anticipated. She learns him in pieces, the way you learn a language you are not trying to study. She learns that he wakes up earlier than anyone she has ever lived with, and uses the first hour of the morning in a silence so complete it seems intentional. Not absence, but preparation. She learns that when he is troubled by something he cleans, methodically, starting with the kitchen counters and working outward, and that by the time she figures out the pattern, she can predict a difficult call before he makes it by the smell of lemon cleaning spray. She learns that he has a particular way of listening, fully stopped, angled slightly, as though whatever you are saying is the only thing in the building, and that the first time she experienced it, she kept losing her sentence halfway through because the attention was disorienting. She learns that he laughs quietly and rarely, but when something genuinely surprises him, it breaks through without warning, brief and real and nothing like the polished ease he presents to everyone else. She learns all of this without meaning to, and catalogs it without purpose, because cataloging things is what her mind does when she refuses to name what the cataloging means. The call happens on a Wednesday evening in the 6th week. She has come home earlier than usual. The afternoon hearing wrapped fast. The commute cooperated, and she is in the kitchen pouring water when she hears his voice from the study at the end of the hall. He is speaking Korean, which is not unusual, but the cadence is different, slower, more careful, the kind of Korean she has come to recognize as the register he uses only for his grandfather. She is not trying to listen. She has no reason to try, because she does not speak Korean, and the sounds wash over her like weather. But she is not leaving either, because she is tired and her water is not full yet, and moving would require a decision she has not made. Then she hears her name, not spoken to her, spoken about her. Her name in his mouth in a sentence she cannot parse, followed by more Korean, followed by a silence on his end that sounds like listening, and then something she can feel the shape of even without translation. Defense. She can hear the architecture of it, the steadiness, the refusal to yield, the specific quality of a man who has decided something and will not be moved. She stands very still. More Korean. And then, in English, clearly for emphasis, or perhaps because his grandfather understands it, and he wants no room for ambiguity, she hears, "She is not a convenience, Harabeoji. That's not what this is." And then the call ends. She has moved backward into the shadow of the hallway without noticing she's done it. She is holding her glass of water with both hands, and her heart is doing something she has no interest in naming. And she stands there for a long moment, in the dark of her own not quite home, and understands with sudden, unwelcome clarity that she is in a great deal of trouble. Not the legal kind. She does not bring it up. She does not know how to bring it up without admitting she heard it. And she does not know how to admit she heard it without admitting what it did to her. So she files it the way she files things she cannot yet use, precisely, in a place she knows she will eventually return to. And she watches him differently after that. Not more. She already watches him more than the contract requires, but differently. With less of the procedural distance she has been maintaining, and more of the thing she is afraid to call by its right name. She notices when he is tired, and does not say so. She notices the specific way he goes quiet when he is missing something. Not sad, exactly, but suspended, as though part of him is in a different room. She notices that he never presses her on anything. Not the locked door, not the brief she has been rewriting for 3 weeks. not the question he almost asked on the second Tuesday and visibly redirected. He gives her room the way someone gives room who has learned that crowding a thing too early loses it. She wonders, once, in the small hours when wondering is hardest to stop, whether anyone has ever given him room back. The story appears on a Monday morning, which is the worst possible morning for anything to appear. It is in a Korean tabloid first, a celebrity gossip outlet that had apparently been sitting on photographs for 2 weeks, waiting for the right moment or the right offer, and found both simultaneously. The photographs were taken outside a Las Vegas chapel approximately 4 months prior. They are blurry in the way that covert photos taken in poor light are blurry, enough detail to be unmistakable, not enough to be dignified. In them, Ri Sung-pyo is laughing at something she is saying. In them, she is wearing a jacket that belongs to him that she has no memory of accepting. In them, they are signing something, and there is something in the ease of the moment, the unhurried posture of two people who have forgotten to be careful, that looks, in the photographs, nothing like an accident. The story makes it to American entertainment media by noon. By 3 o'clock, a journalist from a legal trade publication has sent an inquiry to the courthouse. By 4:15, her phone has 37 unread messages. The one from the appointments committee chair reads, "We need to talk before this becomes a problem." The one from Ri-sung reads, only, "I'm coming home." She is sitting on the kitchen floor when he arrives, not in distress. She does not do distress on the floor. It is inefficient. She is sitting there because the counter is covered in papers, and the table is covered in her laptop, and the floor is the only flat surface left. She has a glass of wine she has not touched, and a legal pad she has nearly filled. He comes in, sees her, and sits down on the floor across from her without a word. He does not ask if she is all right, which is the right call, because she is not all right, and she would resent the question. He just sits there, in his suit, on a kitchen floor, and waits. The committee is going to open a review. Flat. The way she delivers a verdict from the bench. He nods once. A review, if it goes badly, ends the appointment. If the appointment ends, I'm still a judge. But She stops. Recalibrates. I've been working toward the federal bench for 11 years. I know. Quietly, without looking away. This wasn't supposed to... She stops again. The sentence has too many possible endings, and she is not ready for any of them. I'm going to make a statement tomorrow. He takes out his phone and holds it out to her. My team has a draft. I want you to see it first. He slides it across the floor. She reads the draft. It is 3 paragraphs. The first confirms the marriage. The second provides a version of events that is technically true and strategically incomplete. 2 people who met privately, who chose to marry quietly, who kept the matter personal out of respect for the privacy of both families. No mention of a chapel, no mention of Las Vegas, no mention of the fact that neither of them remembered the ceremony until a certificate arrived in the mail. The third paragraph is about her. He has written it himself, she can tell. It has none of the polish of the first 2, and it is better for it. He has written that she is a woman of exceptional integrity, and that any characterization of her as someone whose professional conduct could be compromised by personal circumstances reflects a fundamental misunderstanding of who she is. He has written that he is proud to be married to her, and that this is not a statement for the press. It is a statement of fact. She reads that sentence twice. She slides the phone back. You don't have to do this. Her voice is carefully level. I know. A beat. I want to. She looks at him across the kitchen floor, with 37 unread messages, and a career in the balance, and the specific weight of someone who has been competent alone for so long that the offer of help lands like a foreign language she is only now beginning to understand. Ri-sung. Yes. I heard you on the phone with your grandfather. Flat. The way she delivers hard findings. About 3 weeks ago, I didn't understand the Korean, but I understood enough. He is very still. I'm not a convenience, You told him that. A slow exhale. No, you're not. Then what am I? The question sits between them on the kitchen floor like something fragile. He looks at her for a long moment, and in his expression is everything he has been careful not to say. The patience, the attention, the accumulation of 6 weeks of choosing to show up in the small ways that do not exist in any contract. I think you know what you are. A pause. I think you've known for a while. I think you're just waiting to see if it's safe. She does not answer. But she does not look away either. He delivers the statement in person. This was not in the draft. The draft was written to be released through his communications team, attributed to his office, handled at a distance in the way these things are usually handled. She reviews it at 9 a.m, and it is good, controlled, clean, exactly what is needed. At 11, she gets a text from Dominic, her clerk. Someone just walked into the committee waiting room and asked to speak with the chair, your husband. She stares at the message. Then she calls him. What are you doing? Not quite a question. Handling something. Calm. The way he is always calm. It is both infuriating and deeply steadying in a way she no longer tries to reconcile. The statement was fine. A statement through a press office says you have a husband who manages things from a distance. I'd rather be someone who shows up. A brief pause. Let me do this. She hangs up. She sits in her office for 40 minutes and does not read the brief on her desk and does not answer the 3 calls from journalists and does not do anything except exist in the particular suspended state of someone who is realizing, in real time, that they have allowed someone past the perimeter they built specifically to prevent this. At 12:30, Dominic texts again. The chair is asking if you can come down. The committee chair is a woman named Judge Patricia Ellery, 63, the kind of woman who has heard every version of every story and has stopped being impressed by any of them. She is sitting behind her desk when Voss enters, and Ri-sung is seated in the chair across from her, and the atmosphere in the room is not the atmosphere of a disaster. It is, somehow, the atmosphere of something going unexpectedly well. Your husband, Ellery begins, in a tone that is entirely unreadable, has been very forthcoming. I hope that's a compliment. Ellery looks at Ri-sung, then back at Voss. It's an observation. He's explained that the private nature of your marriage was a mutual decision, that neither of you had any intention of allowing personal matters to intersect with professional ones, and that any suggestion your conduct has been compromised is, and I'm quoting here, factually unsupported and professionally offensive. Voss looks at Ri-sung. He looks back at her with the expression of a man who has done what he set out to do and is entirely at peace with the consequences. Ellery continues, clicking her pen once before setting it down. The committee will complete a standard review. Given the circumstances and Mr. Pyo's statement, I don't anticipate a substantive challenge. The hearing proceeds as scheduled. She pauses. The tabloid story is unfortunate. What happens next will matter more than what happened in Vegas. A beat, no pun intended. Voss nearly laughs. She turns it into clearing her throat, which fools no one. But Patricia Ellery has seen enough to grant a person their dignity. They walk out together into the courthouse corridor, where the afternoon light comes in at the flat angle of a California winter and makes the floor tiles look almost warm. She does not say thank you right away. She walks beside him for half a corridor in silence, and he lets her, because he has always let her have the space she needs to arrive at things in her own time. You didn't have to come in person. Her voice is quieter than she intends it to be. I know. It could have made things worse. It didn't. You couldn't have known that. No. He stops walking and faces her. And she stops because he has stopped, and also because she is tired of walking away from things. But I knew you, and I knew what was worth risking. She looks at him for a long moment, in the corridor of the building that is the architecture of her professional life, in the middle of the worst professional week she has had in years, and she thinks, I have been careful for so long. I have been careful past the point where it was protecting me. I have been careful in the way that is just another word for alone. The contract says 6 months. Yes. We're at 10 weeks. Yes. I want to renegotiate. Something shifts in his expression. Not surprise, exactly. More like the specific relief of someone who has been standing in the rain long enough that they stopped noticing it was cold. And then a door opens. What are your terms? His voice is careful. Careful the way hers gets when something matters. She thinks about this for exactly 3 seconds, which is the fastest she has made a significant decision in her adult life. No end date, no performance clause, no contract at all. He is quiet. Just us, whatever that is, worked out as we go. He looks at her with everything he has not said in 10 weeks, and then, I can agree to those terms. She nods once, the way she nods when a ruling is settled. Then she reaches out and takes his hand, in the corridor, in the middle of everything, for no one's benefit but her own. Park Dae-soo arrives in Los Angeles 7 weeks later. He is not supposed to travel. His doctors have been saying this since his second hospitalization the previous year. With the patient persistence of people who know the man they are advising will not listen, he travels anyway, because at 81, after everything he has built and survived and outlasted, he has earned the right to be medically inadvisable. He is smaller than she expected. She does not say this. She has done enough research on him to understand that his dimensions are not the point. The point is what he has carried for 6 decades without putting it down, and that is visible in other ways. The dinner is in the apartment. Ri-sung cooks, which she now knows is his particular form of saying something he cannot quite put in words. That this matters, that he wants it to go well, that he is more nervous than he will show. She sets the table. The old man watches her from the living room and she lets him watch, because she has nothing to hide, and she will not perform comfort she does not feel. She feels something closer to respect, the kind she extends to anyone who has made it to 81 still demanding things from the world. At dinner, he speaks mostly to Ri-sung in Korean. She does not pretend to understand what she does not understand, and she does not perform the self-conscious discomfort of an outsider. She eats the food that was cooked for her, and she listens to the music of a language she is beginning to recognize even without translation. The pauses, the emphasis, the specific way the old man's voice changes when something Ri-sung says lands. Midway through the meal, he turns to her and speaks in English, his accent textured as weathered stone. You're a judge. Yes. You put people in prison. Sometimes I let them go. That's the job, deciding which is which. He is quiet for a moment. Then, my grandson. Did you decide? She holds his gaze. It requires effort, which she respects. Yes. And? I'm keeping him. Ri-sung has gone very still beside her. The old man looks at her for a long moment. Then something in his face, not softening exactly, more like settling, the way a building settles when the foundation has finally been trusted with the full weight, shifts. Good. He returns to his food. Then, after a moment, without looking up from his bowl, Ji-won was never ready. Ri-sung has known this for years. Now I know it too. He sets down his chopsticks with the precision of a man who does not waste gestures. The matter is closed. No ceremony, no formal announcement. Just an old man with a bowl of food and 60 years of earned authority folding a question that has hung over the family for 2 years into 3 sentences and a set-down chopstick. Ri-sung exhales slowly beside her. She does not look at him, but she feels it. The specific quality of relief from a person who has been braced for impact long enough that the absence of it is almost disorienting. Under the table, his hand finds hers. Later, after the old man has retired to the guest room and the dishes have been done and the apartment has found its late-night quiet, Ri-sung finds her on the balcony with the city spread out below them and the air carrying the faint, persistent warmth of a Los Angeles night. He called me this morning. Ri-sung comes to stand beside her at the railing. Before his flight. About what? About you. He'd had someone pull your record, your rulings, your career. A pause. He wanted to tell me that you have never, in 12 years on the bench, reversed a decision because it became inconvenient. She absorbs this. The only quality worth marrying into. Ri-sung's voice carries that particular quietness it gets when something matters enough to be spoken carefully. A person who doesn't change their ruling when the pressure changes. She turns to look at him, at the man who showed up on a kitchen floor and in a committee waiting room, and at every moment she was pretending she didn't need anyone to show up. Your grandfather researched my judicial record to decide if I was acceptable. He did. That's actually, she pauses, the most romantic thing anyone has ever done for me. He laughs. The real one, the brief and unguarded one. And it breaks over the city and disappears into the dark, and she thinks, there it is. That is the thing I have been cataloging without naming. That is the thing I was waiting to decide was safe. She leans into him, and he puts an arm around her, and below them the city does what Los Angeles always does. Moves on, lit up, completely unaware that two people on a 14th floor balcony have just decided to stay. The federal appointment is confirmed on a Tuesday, 4 months after the committee review opens and closes without incident. She is in the courtroom when the notification comes through, on the bench, in the middle of a hearing, presiding with the particular quality of attention she has brought to every hearing in 12 years. Her phone is off. Her expression does not change. She finishes the hearing, thanks the counsel on both sides, steps down from the bench, and walks to her chambers. Then she sits down at her desk, reads the notification twice, and cries, briefly, silently, in the way of someone who has been holding something for a long time and can finally afford to put it down. When she comes home, Ri-sung is there. She does not know how he knows. She is not called. But he is there, and the apartment smells like something cooking. And on the counter, he has left a single piece of paper. She picks it up. It is the original contract. 5 pages, her handwriting on most of it, his 2 edits still visible. At the bottom, where the signature lines are, he has written in the margin, in the same clean, small handwriting as before. This document is hereby dissolved, effective the day one of us decided to stop counting the weeks. She stands in her kitchen holding the only contract she has ever signed that she is glad to see voided. Then she calls his name. He comes out of the kitchen with a dish towel over his shoulder, and she crosses the distance between them without the 12 minutes early and the back to the wall and all the careful preparation she has used to protect herself in every room she has ever walked into. She walks in without armor. He meets her in the middle. Somewhere in a Nevada filing office, a marriage certificate sits in a drawer with a gold seal and 2 signatures, one loopy, rushed, tilted to the right, one clean and precise. Neither of them has filed to dissolve it. Neither of them will.